Hello everyone, I am Dr. Gopadas Talukdar, Assistant Professor in the Department of English, Kokrajhar Government College. So today I will be discussing with you a very important topic that has been a part of popular literature since ages, and the name of the novel that I am going to deal with today is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. And the topic of my presentation is Femininity and Identity in Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So let us go to my slides. You will be having a visual impression of my presentation. So the objectives of my study are numbered, and the first one is to understand the two concepts of identity as femininity as theoretical ideologies, and the second one is to understand the blurring line between illusion and reality. How can we transgress this line in order to understand life in a better way? And the third one is to identify the traumatic undertones that can be seen in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So now let us move into the basic idea of our work. So as you know that the Lewis Carroll has written this work in the year 1865, and it talks about the journey of a little girl named Alice who falls through a rabbit hole into a world of fantasy. And this particular work is very influential in popular literature because of its narrative structure, characters, imaginary setup, everything. And it has been adapted several times for screen, radio, ballet, musicals, video games, etc. So now let us try to understand what happens next. So next we can see that there is a picture where we can have a look and understand that Alice has already fallen through a hole and she has landed into a world of fantasy, and she is with a particular character. Okay, so we will understand that gradually as we proceed through our presentation. Now we can see that there is a very important backdrop of this work that we can never forget. And what is that? That is Victorian conventions. We should always remember that this particular work was written in the Victorian period, and the Victorian period was basically known for conventions and the societal problems that it was dealing with at that particular time, and especially in case of women and children. So these two categories of Victorian period were the worst sufferers. So because of industrial revolution came during that time, and it created a class based society, and a middle class, a working class emerged out of that industrial revolution period. And there were many workers who went to work in factories, in industries, and the children were left alone. And we can see that in the very beginning of the book, Ellie is sitting alone, and she was not surrounded by any human being. She was rather accompanied by animals. So we can see that there is a kind of void in the life of Elise, and that void pushes her to go beyond the world of reality and explore the world of fantasy. So these are some of the important things that we should keep in mind while we are trying to analyze this particular work. And then we also try to see how identity becomes a very important factor. So when Alice plunges into the world of fantasy, So having said that, now we will proceed towards the very important concept of identity. And this particular term, identity crisis, was coined by a theorist named Erikson, and he refers to this as the self-analysis that is conducted by a person of himself. And he presents that there are 8 psychological phases of development which creates, changes, renders, and because of which identity loss occurs to a particular person. And Alice's inability to remain one size is indicative of that kind of an anxiety. We can see that Alice often changes shapes while she was in the world of fantasy, and the continuous transformation in the size of Alice that she undergoes is results of her identity crisis. She can neither remain a child nor she can remain an adult. So this is what happens to Alice. And then we will move into our next slide. We'll see that Alice first struggles to establish herself when she meets the caterpillar in that world of fantasy, and she responds to the question that Alice is asked by that caterpillar, and she says that I hardly know, sir. That means she is still in that journey of self-discovery to identify herself. She does not know who she is when she was asked by the caterpillar, who is she? So Alice goes into that wonderland looking for her lost identity, which she completely lost in her world of reality. And then coming to the other important phase, that is femininity. So Alice appears to reject her impending maturation. She rejects her anticipated gender identity and she rejects her femininity. So how can we see that? We can see that in the novel she was actually told to experience the life of a mother, and she says that no, that is a very dirty, filthy experience, just like taking care of a pig. So she completely rejects that kind of a transformation. She does not want to grow up into a female, childbearing female, because she considers that job to be filthy, to be dirty. She did not want to accept that, admit that part of herself being a grown up female. So these are some of the important issues that are to be covered when we are talking about Alice. So she resorts by saying that, I quote, I'll have nothing more to do with you, while she was told to take care of the pig. This statement implies that Alice intends to refuse her possible role of a mother in future. So in this way we can see certain feminist undertones in this particular work. And feminism is all about the social, political, equal economic movements that females seek for equality, and this particular term was used by Mary Wollstonecraft, Virginia Woolf in their works. They were great theorists of feminism, and that this particular novel, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, is definitely a feminist enterprise, as Alice moves into the world of fantasy to seek her lost identity and her gendered self. So with this I would like to conclude and hope that this was a wonderful experience for you. Thank you.